It's Halloween in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and Tony Stark, always the life of the party, decides to throw the biggest Halloween bash the world has ever seen. The Avengers are all invited alongside an extravagant guest list of celebrities, politicians, and geniuses from around the world. Stark Tower is decked out in over-the-top decorations, holographic ghosts, robot skeletons, and a stunning replica of a haunted mansion entrance. Everyone knows if Tony throws a party, it's going to be unforgettable. But this year, it would become unforgettable for a very different reason. Unbeknownst to Tony, one of the guests, Dracula himself, has slipped into the party, intent on adding the brilliant Tony Stark to his growing coven of vampires. The night is buzzing with excitement. People from all over the world have gathered in Stark Tower, dressed in elaborate costumes, mingling among some of Earth's mightiest heroes. Tony, dressed as a vampire for the evening, ironically enough, is the center of attention, charming his guests with his usual wit and confidence. The Avengers are scattered throughout the party. Natasha Romanoff, dressed as a sleek black cat, keeps a watchful eye on the guests, always alert even in moments of celebration. Bruce Banner's at the bar, trying to relax but clearly not used to large crowds. Steve Rogers, in a vintage soldier's uniform, engages in light conversation, feeling slightly out of place in the modern world's idea of a Halloween party. Thor, as himself, towers over everyone, regaling guests with tales of Asgardian battles, seemingly unaware of the costume concept. As Tony mingles, he's approached by a mysterious, distinguished man in a black cape, Dracula. Though Tony doesn't recognize him, the vampire lord compliments Tony on the grandeur of the party, piquing Tony's ego. They engage in conversation about power, immortality, and legacy, topics that fascinate Tony. Dracula's charm and commanding presence slowly draw Tony in, and the night progresses with Dracula getting closer to his true goal, turning Stark. Meanwhile, some of the Avengers notice something off about the mysterious man talking to Tony. Natasha, in particular, is suspicious but keeps her distance, thinking it's just her paranoia. The night takes a darker turn when the lights flicker, and a strange chill fills the air. Tony, alone with Dracula in a private part of the tower, begins to feel strange, his head spinning as Dracula moves closer. Dracula reveals his true identity, fangs gleaming, and offers Tony something irresistible: immortality, eternal life, and power beyond what he's ever known. At first, Tony laughs it off as part of the party, until Dracula lunges at him, sinking his teeth into Tony's neck before he can react. The bite sends a surge of supernatural energy through Tony's body, his mind reeling as he struggles to fight back. But it's too late. Dracula's venom courses through his veins, beginning the slow transformation. The party continues downstairs, but things are starting to feel wrong. Guests begin to complain about the cold, strange shadows flicker in the corners of rooms, and some people swear they see figures moving just out of sight. The Avengers, sensing something is off, regroup, except for Tony, who is conspicuously absent. Steve approaches Natasha. "Where's Stark? He was supposed to make the toast by now." Natasha narrows her eyes. "I don't know, but something's not right. I saw him talking to someone earlier. Someone who didn't feel normal." Before they can investigate further, a scream echoes from the upper floors of Stark Tower. The lights flicker again, this time going out completely. Guests panic, and in the chaos, the Avengers spring into action, pushing through the crowd to get upstairs. What they find shocks them. Tony Stark, no longer himself, standing in the shadows, his once human eyes glowing a haunting red, fangs protruding from his mouth. His skin has taken on a pale, vampiric hue, and he's no longer in control of his actions. Tony, now a fledgling vampire under Dracula's influence, lunges at the Avengers with a speed and strength none of them expect. Steve raises his shield just in time to block Tony's attack, but the sheer force sends him flying across the room. Natasha tries to subdue Tony with electric batons, but even in his transformed state, Tony's mind retains his brilliant tactical instincts. He dodges her attacks with ease, his movements erratic yet calculated. "Tony, stop!" Natasha yells, trying to get through to him. But Tony's vampire form snarls, his voice a deep, chilling growl. This is power you could never understand. In the chaos, Dracula appears, watching from the shadows, amused by the struggle. You see, Avengers, your dear friend has been given a gift, immortality, the chance to rule for eternity by my side. Dracula reveals his plan, to turn Tony Stark, one of the most brilliant minds in the world, into a vampire and use him to build an empire of darkness, starting with Earth's mightiest heroes. With Tony on his side, Dracula could bring down the Avengers and bend the world to his will. The Avengers realize they need to stop Tony, but they don't want to kill him. Bruce, watching from the sidelines, knows there might be a way to reverse the transformation, but it won't be easy. They need to defeat Dracula before his hold on Tony becomes permanent. The Avengers regroup outside Stark Tower, now plunged into darkness. They know the only way to save Tony is to separate him from Dracula's influence. But Dracula's power grows stronger by the hour, and Tony, in his vampire form, is a formidable foe. With enhanced strength, speed, and his genius mind still intact, he's a threat like never before. "Bruce," Steve asks, "how do we stop this?" Bruce, thinking quickly, replies, "There's a chance I can synthesize something to counteract the venom in Tony's system, but it'll take time. You'll need to keep him and Dracula busy while I work on it." The Avengers split into two teams, Steve, Natasha, and Thor, to confront Dracula and Tony. Bruce and Clint Hawkeye to work on a cure in the lab. The final battle takes place in the upper floors of Stark Tower, now transformed into a gothic nightmare by Dracula's influence. The floors are shrouded in darkness, mirrors reflect strange, distorted images, and cold winds howl through the broken windows. Dracula, confident in his victory, watches as the Avengers face off against their former leader. Thor charges first, his hammer glowing with thunderous power. But Tony, even in his transformed state, uses his intellect to predict Thor's moves, dodging the blows with vampire agility. Steve tries to get close, but Tony's strength overwhelms him, forcing him to fight defensively. As the battle rages on, Natasha slips through the shadows, moving toward Dracula. "You think you've won?" Dracula sneers. "Tony Stark is mine." "Not if I can help it," Natasha growls, launching a series of attacks aimed at the vampire lord. But Dracula is ancient and powerful, easily parrying her strikes. Just as he's about to finish her off, Steve throws his shield, knocking Dracula back long enough for Natasha to recover. Meanwhile, Tony's inner struggle becomes apparent. Even as he fights, flashes of his old self break through. The real Tony, trapped within his vampiric instincts, fighting to regain control. "Steve, Nat, I can't stop it," he says, his voice strained, fighting against the vampire within. "You have to stop me." Back in the lab, Bruce works frantically, synthesizing a serum to reverse the vampiric curse. Clint covers him, keeping watch for any stray vampires. "How much longer, Banner?" Almost there, Bruce replies, sweat pouring down his face as he finishes the serum. The moment arrives. Bruce and Clint rush to the battle, where Tony is on the verge of losing himself completely. Dracula looms over the weakened Avengers, ready to deliver the final blow. But Bruce injects Tony with the serum just in time, and a violent reaction surges through Tony's body. Tony collapses, convulsing as the serum works its way through his system. Dracula, enraged, tries to flee, but Thor delivers a devastating blow with Mjolnir, incapacitating the vampire lord. Steve drives a stake through Dracula's heart, ending his reign of terror. Tony, breathing heavily, finally returns to his human form, the curse broken. He looks up at his friends, his voice weak, but unmistakably his own. Thanks for not letting me become a permanent bloodsucker. The next morning, the sun rises over Stark Tower, now quiet after the night's chaos. The Avengers sit together, exhausted but relieved. Tony, recovering from his ordeal, cracks a joke. Maybe I should stick to hosting Christmas parties from now on. Natasha smirks. I think we've had enough of your immortal genius for one lifetime. Tony's brush with immortality has left him shaken, but it also brings the Avengers closer, reminding them that even in the face of supernatural threats, they stand strongest together. As the night fades into memory, the team knows that Dracula's curse may be broken, but in the world they live in, the unexpected is always lurking just beneath the surface.